This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. We've just had the weigh-in here for Katie Taylor Carabajal as Frank Smith looks like he's about to take a throw-in. Obviously, Katie Taylor...
That would have been an illegal throw-in, though.
That would have been an illegal throw. Obviously, Katie Taylor looking incredible on the scales. Now 36. Obviously, I imagine had that tough fight with Serrano. Now for her just to sort of get another win and then aim for that Croke Park fight next year. Big stadium sellout.
Yeah, 100%. I was with Brian Peters last night. We were talking about Brian Peters and Thomas, a management team, about what's next, and that's the aim for us. We want to make that fight. We want to go to Croke Park. Spent a bit of time there last, I think it was July or August, looking at the options. It's definitely something we want to make happen. You know, we want to take her back to Ireland, and I think hopefully we can make that Serrano fight.
Just a quick word on the rest of the card. Obviously, Gil Martinez, an absolutely fantastic fight. We saw that last time that you can never count Jordan Gill out of a fight. Johnny Fisher returns, bringing his amazing support that he always does. John Hedges return. Ellie Scottney in a good fight for the European title. Jordan Reynolds, who's a good little ticket seller. There's probably a few more in there that I'm missing, but a decent, good card overall.
Yeah, stack card top to bottom. You've got Gary Cully as well, whose first fight with Matt, as a matchroom fighter. Very excited for him and, his future. He's got some big fights ahead of him. As you say, Ellie Scottney, a tough fight. Glad to get her back out so quickly after the postponement, 3 weeks ago. But that's a tough fight for the European title there for her. Jordan Gill, always in entertaining fights. I think this fight against Kiko Martinez will be no different. Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, the Bull Army are out and about, ready to go. Done about 2,000 tickets again for this one. Hedges, as you say, Thomas Whittaker-Hart in a step-up fight, 10-rounder as well. Maisie Rose, professional debut. Jordan Reynolds. I think between the two of us, we covered them all. But yeah, stacked card top to bottom and looking forward to it.
The Times reported that this was a 25 million catchweight fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Sorry, I completely changed there and threw you off a little bit. That was a number bigger than most expected. Is 25 million around the right figure? Obviously, the fight weren't to happen, but...
I don't talk about numbers. Where did that come from, though?
The Times.
No, I mean just in that...
Oh, sorry, I was going to roll to it anyway and then just sort of...
I was going to be like, yeah, great card, but it was just, let's completely forget about what we just discussed and go on to something completely different out of the blue.
Should have edged over to it a little bit nicely.
You are I'm not the interviewer, so you're the professional, so I'm not going to say anything.
The professional, I'll take that. Look, the article came out last night confirming that there were 2 positive VADA tests. We were only aware of the one. I suppose, was that all with this legal process that there was more to come out and that we weren't made aware of that immediately?
Look, I think all of this, comes back to the legal process and the legal discussions that are ongoing, and Conor Benn is going through now with his team. One thing to note is the British Boxing Board of Control have been aware, who are the governing, organisation for the sport, been aware throughout. So, I can't keep doing interviews and saying the same thing because we're limited on what we can say.
I haven't interviewed you in a couple of weeks, I will say.
No, not you, but in general, I think ultimately it gets to the point where there's no more we can give. It's a case that Conor Benn is dealing with his legal team, and he has to, as I've said a few times, go through that process. But like I say, the British Boxing Board of Control, whose job it is to run the sport in the UK, have been aware of it from the start.
I know contamination is something that's been mentioned. Now we're seeing the 2 tests. I've got here July 25 and September the 1st. Conor's made the argument that sort of, this is something that stays in your system over a long amount of time, but it's the same substance and it's come over sort of a wider spread of time. Would that not indicate that, I don't know, you'll be the person to, I suppose maybe the legal teams will be the person to ask really, but just on your side of things, would that not suggest that it had been in this system for a month or so?
Again, that's a question that has to go to the team who are investigating. I'm not a doctor or a scientist or, handling an investigation into it. I have listened to many things that I've been told from the people dealing with it, and in due time, when that detail can come out, it will be told. But I can't sit. I'm not going to sit here today and tell you all the details around it because it's not my place to do so, and I can't do that. But there is a lot of information that people still do not know that I'm sure in time, once this legal process plays out, will come out.
Conor has said he never wants to fight under the British Boxing Board of Control ever again. Obviously, this would mean sort of bringing in an alternative body if he were to fight over here or going abroad and fighting elsewhere if it's not going to be under the British board. Does that not make it more difficult moving forward promoting him?
Look, I think that's in his mind now. He He, as he said in the article that you've read, he's not happy with the way it's been dealt with. The situation the other day. Is that something he's saying now? Something to look into. There's many other fighters who aren't licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control who fight here. Tyson Fury being one of them. So it's not a case of right now his focus is to clear his name, and that's his focus is not. And again, it says it in the article. It's not get rid of his board license. He could go and fight tomorrow somewhere else, but that's not what he wants to do. Or in December, that's not what he wants to do. He wants to clear his name. So if his goal was just to fight and put all this to the side, then he could do that tomorrow easily. But that's not what his focus is. He wants to clear his name, go through the process, and be given the opportunity to do that. So all these decisions are because of that.
I suppose his frustrations and the team of Matchroom's frustrations, as Eddie told me, is that sort of the board knew about it prior to this, and then obviously I don't know whether it was to do with the fact that the articles came out, but it seems sort of they left it a very last minute decision to postpone the fight. Obviously the fighters are still in camp, they're training with the uncertainty of what's going on. Is that sort of one of the reasons that Conor's not happy with the misconduct charge and how he was treated?
I think on that side of things, yeah, that ultimately the board were aware, have always been aware, and it's their job to adjudicate. Like, if the board say X period ago the fight's not happening, then fine, that's their job. That's why we all pay them to run the sport in the UK. That's why we all pay them a fee. That's why they're there to operate the sport. So ultimately, it's on them. I think the frustration is that he's not being given the opportunity to go through the process, and this is completely separate, as has been said, from that process. So I think his key is just allow me to do this. And my thing, I think, is like if it comes out at the end and he's guilty, he's guilty. But he has to be given the chance to go through it, and he's not had that opportunity.
On your side of things, why did it take so long for the British Boxing Board of Control to postpone that fight when there were so many discussions prior going on behind closed doors? The article then comes out and then it's postponed. Whereas like when it was still not known to the public, do you feel like maybe it was the public opinion that pushed the board to postpone the event?
I don't know.
Fight, sorry.
I don't know. That's for the British Boxing Board of Control to answer.
As someone who deals with Conor and everything, how was his mental state leading up? Because I read sort of the first test, he wasn't, not that he wasn't bothered, but it wasn't too concerning. It was something that they thought they could get over, contamination. And the second one, September 1st, was when it really hit him. In those sort of weeks leading up to the fight, did you yourself notice a sort of change in his mentality and a worry sort of going into that fight? Because obviously that's a lot to be dealing with ahead of a career biggest fight.
I think now you have to talk about how he is now as well. Like he's a young guy, he's 25, 26 years old. He's got the pressure of the world, everyone judging him on something that no one's got any facts about. I had conversations all week with various people like, if you have facts and you know every detail, then you can have a clear, concise opinion on it, can't you? No one's got any fact, like any further detail of it. He's not, look, I'm not going to lie, he's not in a great place, as you can imagine. And I feel for him because, just like anyone else who's put in a position that they don't deserve to, or, ultimately it's in his system. So that's the process he has to go through. But again, give him the chance to go through that, because currently everyone's like, nah, no, he's done it with no detail around it. So, I think it's like a lot of things happen in life where people judge before they know any detail and then make a decision based on that. And then when you read the things people are saying about him, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. So, look, as a friend, I've known him for 6-7 years. I care about him. He's been a long-term friend. So, for us, obviously, I care more about that side of him, his mental health.
Just finally from me, obviously we know about Matchroom's schedule going forward. White Franklin with a really, really good card. Bolotniks takes on Craig Richards in a really, really good fight. And then obviously you've got Estrada Chocolatito. Lots of stuff going on abroad. And, and here in the UK. Eddie hinted yesterday at a potential date for December 17, which, was originally been looking at for Anthony Joshua. Probably not the case now, but sort of just on your side of things, December 17, who could we have out on that bill?
We're looking at it now as a chance it could fall into January, but there's a few discussions ongoing around it. Again, I'm not the man you want to speak to try and get snippets and comments unless you ask me a question that I can answer. I'm not going to answer your question with an answer that I do not have the answer to.
Frank Smith, thank you for speaking to me at Boxing Social.